same stuff we've been doing anyway, right?
Okay.
All right, so minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. There you go, Rich. Jim, there's a copy for you to
No,
take a peek at. Good.
yeah.
Thanks. As a kid, I didn't know how long our meeting would go today. I didn't know.
Hey, do you want me to plug that in for you, or?
Well, it's only in case I need it.
You want me to plug it in?
Because it won't reach.
Oh, okay, all
So
right, okay.
it's only, you know, I didn't know how long we'd go today, so should be fine. It should last for 2
Okay.
hours, so, but I brought it just in case. You know, if I didn't bring it, I'd want it.
Yeah,
you
right.
know.
You know, the FinCom meeting's canceled,
Yeah, it's Thursday,
Thursday
Yep.
at 3,
3,
I think
something
so.
like that. Yeah, Madeline sent me a note,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. There's this, and would we or I have capability of putting minutes on the website?
Sure,
Talk to Karen,
yeah,
she can help me
Mhm.
figure out how to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay. Cause you know, I have a hard copy in this binder here.
Mhm.
Should that stay in the town hall somewhere?
Yeah, probably should,
Do we-
yeah, maybe in one of those
Maybe I'll-
file cabinets.
Maybe I'll requisition a cabinet drawer over there.
Sure,
and
yeah.
put capital planning on it or something like
Yeah.
that, and then put the notebook in there.
So regarding the school district section,
Yeah,
I mean, I think our intent was to talk to Duff about the CES project. And the other ones, we weren't gonna worry about right now, right? Cause we wanted an estimate on that one, and the
Right.
others we're not gonna worry about, so your third sentence there might wanna be amended to say something, cause well, somewhere in here, that we're interested in the CES project.
okay.
I mean, we weren't even asking for estimates on the other two, right?
Well, it was just, there was this, we had quite a long discussion, and I knew this would be a weak part in the minutes, because
Yeah.
how do you encapsulate
Yeah, I
a
know.
lengthy,
Yeah.
convoluted discussion about it? And, my recollection of it and reviewing the film on it, the video of it, was that we wanted to note the requests and keep them, at least, you know, keep the awareness of them present.
Yeah,
Like a lot of the projects, you know, we know we're not gonna do anything, we're not gonna act on them for a year or 2 or maybe 3, depending on the nature of the request.
mhm.
Let's see,
But we were specifically gonna go to Duff and say, we want an estimate on that CES
okay,
project. Cause that we were willing to consider. right?
CES standing for what?
Community-
WCES.
Sorry,
the-
Oh.
shortening.
Oh, the paving project at
Yeah.
the
That's the one
community elementary?
we
Yes.
Yeah,
agreed
okay.
that we.
Community elementary school.
Okay.
How about if I change that, the committee asked Jim if he could, well, work with Superintendent Duff to get a estimate on the WCES project.
Yeah,
Is that fair? Okay. If he could work with Superintendent Duff to get an estimate of the WCES paving project. Okay.
anything else?
Okay, I'll make
Is
a
there a
motion,
motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Ray Capaco, aye?
Don Swistek, aye.
Dan Toto, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye.
Okay.
Motion passes.
All
All right, so,
You wanna just recap on, I did have a conversation with Duff, since we're on.
Okay.
On talking about this. So I spoke to Superintendent Duff, just the other day, and, you know, he explained to me that, you know, this glycol thing, with the energy management system, I explained to the super that, you know, the position of what, you know, the board was thinking, the committee was thinking. And his reasoning for this glycol was, we just had installed the energy management system for Warren Community Elementary. And, you know, the glycol wasn't known that it needed to be replaced until they were, you know, working on this project. And, they saw the levels that were low. And so this glycol happens every 10 to 15 years on average, you know, to look to be replaced. He's in desperately need of getting it replaced. It's about 50,000. You know, he would be, you know, willing to talk to the board a little bit more about, you know, the merits of it, if necessary. You know, he had indicated that, the paving project at the community elementary school, he is, working with Jeremy, in one of our chapter 90 vendors, Precise Paving, to get an estimate of some type of repair work that could be done over there. The entire project of repaving and drainage over there, you know, just brand new, he's estimating that to be anywhere between $800,000 and $900,000 within itself. So he's working on some other solutions, to possibly get a better estimate, you know, in terms of maybe doing some repairs and going about it at a different approach, than just redoing the entire, you know, parking lot and drainage. So he's working with Highway, and one of our vendors on an estimate more, you know, more meaningful to the board. And he will also be coordinating and contacting with West Brookfield on numbers for Quabog, as well.
so, but right now, it's an estimate of about 800 to 900.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you wanna add that to the sheet, I guess?
Oh, I put in 900.
Yeah. All right, parks, did everybody look at the parks?
Do we want it further discussion on the glycol?
I don't know, is anybody, I don't hear anybody.
on the glycol, if we decide to do it, we're not gonna be consistent with the other ones that we told their chemicals are.
So the
It's a
argument,
consumable item. It
Yeah, I
should be on a
know.
regular basis.
his argument is that it was kind of part of the project. I mean, that's kind of.
No, his argument was is that you know, he didn't know it needed to be replaced, he didn't know that it was a regular maintenance thing. He doesn't classify it as a maintenance thing because of the time period that, you know, that this usually lasts, 10 to 15 years, you know. Classifying it as a one-time expense within that time period, he doesn't view that as maintenance.
I don't know, it's not a thing, it's a,
It's a consumable item.
yeah, yeah. You know, it's like buying a car versus eating potato chips. I mean, you know, your car is like investment, your potato
Mhm.
chips are, you know,
A luxury.
a luxury, and, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know, what is,
Even if we considered it, it's not gonna come to the level of, it's not gonna get rated high enough to even be considered for this fiscal year.
no.
In my opinion, I shouldn't say that there's a definitive statement, but in my opinion, it won't come to the level of, there's just too many other things that would have higher priority, in my opinion. And so, I'm completely sympathetic to the request. It's a legitimate request and it needs to be done. But I think it's gonna have to get punted and rolled into their operational budget next year,
Yeah,
unfortunately. The other thing, I'll speak, at the risk of speaking out of ignorance, if the system never gets to below 32 degrees, it's a non-issue. That system would never, the glycol's to keep the system from freezing.
yeah,
And it won't freeze unless the system gets to 32. So unless we have a catastrophic situation, I don't understand the risk of not upgrading the system. I'm not advocating that we don't get it upgraded, because that's the way it's designed and that's the way it should operate. I'm just simply saying, I think the risk is so low that for me personally, it doesn't become it's just not gonna come up to the level of criticality that I would advocate for it being bumped up into a priority type of a thing.
mhm,
Again, having said that, I'm not advocating for a substandard system be left operating indefinitely. It's already way past due, it's way overdue. But what's the chance that that system's ever gonna go below 32 degrees? Very, very low. And so to me, the risk isn't there.
mhm.
Well, I think, Ray has some very valid points. I think the concern was if the power goes out.
Right.
Yeah.
For an extended period of time.
Yeah, so if it happens over a weekend or, a long weekend or something, that, could pose a problem.
Right. Does CERT have portable generating capabilities?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I don't think so either, but.
Doesn't the school have a generator?
But that's, I think
the-
they do
the-
at
The high school does,
right,
yeah.
right, not for the Warren Elementary.
Right.
I'm not trying to be dismissive of this, I'm just simply saying, what is the chance that we could have, if we had a catastrophic situation where power was out for multiple days, and we had really low temperatures, that is a potential issue. We're taking on that risk, is effectively what we're doing.
Mhm.
Because we do know about it, we do know the system needs to be maintained properly and upgraded. Insurance probably wouldn't cover it if the worst were to happen. If I was an insurance company, I would insure it. Everything, we've been talking about it publicly, it's not like it's a mystery. It
Yeah,
should be.
you're not gonna get insurance money for it, but it's maintenance.
No, I understand.
It goes back to and that's why you wouldn't get insurance money for it. So again,
Basically, again, to your maintenance issue, and Mr. Duff saying that he doesn't consider it because of the time span, regardless, when you buy a system like that, you know there are operational parameters
Right.
with it.
Right,
And you know there's chemical product that needs to be changed out on 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it
Right.
might be. That's still maintenance of
I-
a material.
Yeah.
It's a consumable material.
I agree, I agree.
so, I mean, ultimately, if we,
And if you
that's
set
our
that
opinion, then
precedence
it's a
there-
dead
Right.
issue.
I don't disagree, I don't disagree
If
on
you set
that.
that precedence there, you're gonna have to
Right.
set it for everybody.
Right, and it's unfortunate, and, yeah, they've fallen into this situation. Once again, though, I don't think it's so critical that it has to be addressed today. Okay, but I also understand that you're taking some risk,
Mhm.
that we have a catastrophic event, that we run the risk of the pipes freezing. Could happen, but I'm not worried about it. I don't
Right,
mean to be flippant, I'm just saying, I'm not worried about it.
but I think it's on the onus of the school
The school's gonna
to
have
take
to,
care of
the
it.
school's gonna have to deal with it in some manner, and we'll see it next year in the operational budget, I'm sure, so.
Yeah. Is there, can we get a definition of capital at some point?
Sure, sure.
Because we have dollar amount in life, but maybe we
Mhm.
need,
Function,
yeah,
Purpose.
description, function,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
something that better, so we can say your thing doesn't match because here's our definition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that Springfield one had it. But I would imagine it definitely says nothing about maintenance as a, you
Yeah.
know.
So I found some old capital planning, information. And one of them is capital budget definitions. So it's definition of capital asset and operational asset. Capital asset is an item that is available to, controlled by, or acquired by the town. Has a useful life of at least 3 years, which we've changed to 5 years. And has a purchase price of at least $5,000, which we've changed to $25,000. Examples include equipment, land, buildings, and vehicles. All capital assets are included in the capital planning program. And then operational asset, this is what they put forth before, is an item that is available to, controlled by, or acquired by the town. Has a useful life of at least 3 years and has a purchase cost of more than $100 and less than $5,000. Such assets are not included in the capital planning program, except when the request for funds for the class of assets exceeds $25,000. I don't know if that's helpful, that's what was there.
It's an older
It's
model.
a much older model, but
Yeah, but
It
it's
gives
still,
some
it gives
definite-
examples, vehicles, buildings, land, you know,
right.
Tangible.
yeah, tangible.
well, the issue before us is the glycol, and it sounds to me like we've decided that we can't incorporate it into our improvement plan.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right, anything else on that?
I did also let him know that, once he has some more firm numbers, to please get them to me, so that I can get them to the committee. I said, after the committee meets this round, I'm sure we'll be back up and operational in the fall, as it gets closer to the special.
Mhm. All right, moving on. Parks, everybody get a chance to look at parks?
It was just that one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They are not putting forward anything for capital for the playground stabilization. They are
Well-
putting an article on themselves?
I think for, the playground, I had a conversation with them on the playground, and I asked them, I said, the board would really like, they allocated $25,000 last year, and you have it, and you have it reserved. They wanna know a little bit more, detailed, what's your plan for, is it a specific park, is it a specific playscape? What are your plans for it? And I had a brief conversation with Sue this morning, and Sue had indicated to me that, she was, they were looking at Cutter Park, and, this is all, again, the way which the article was written last time was, just for playscapes, for park improvements, and, they don't have any concrete plans as of yet, but they are still looking at trying to get their coffers funded, so that they can continue to have money aside for the plan that they're working on.
But there's no article on these?
I'm not sure if the selectmen would put on an article to move forward with a $25,000 request. I'm not sure. I'll know a little bit more later on in the week. I guess capital planning, if there was an article to come on, capital planning could certainly, I don't know if the board is gonna be making recommendations or not making recommendations as like the FinCom does. That could be looked at, as well.
So we
Okay,
only have that one to look at.
yep. Any comments? So this is the purchase of this train station.
Oh, yeah, I did check on the selling price for that. It's $299,900.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was, yeah.
So I've always thought something should happen down there, but
Yeah.
I don't know if the town is in the position to take that over.
Yeah, my opinion about it would be that we put it in our queue. I can't support anything fiscal year '25 for this, but I don't think we should ignore it and neglect it. I'd love to see it happen, but we just aren't in a place to fund it, is my opinion. So, and the reason why I'd say keep it in the queue is because you don't know what the future holds, and a year from now, if the property's fire saled at $199,000, it's gonna change my priority about it a little bit.
It's already been out there for,
Ever. Yeah, it's been a long
Yeah.
time, years.
yeah,
And
it hasn't moved.
And it hasn't moved, and it's not gonna move. Who would buy that place? It makes perfect sense for us to buy it.
Yeah, for everybody else, the property line, the parking, everything is an impact.
Right, there's, the only thing you could do with that is put some kind of a business in there, and,
And even then, it's limited to what you can do.
Very
because of the
limited.
structure of the building.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd say we put it in our queue, we hope and pray that he's ready to walk away from the property for a bargain, and then we consider it and act on it. I'd love to see us the town should own that,
Mm-hmm.
totally agree, totally, but this year, there's absolutely no way, I was trying to find a way to squeeze it in. And unless we want to deplete all of our funding to zero. There's no way this year, in my opinion. So, that's all I have to say about it.
Well, I guess the question is, how are we gonna fund everything else then? Right?
Right.
We have a few, well, 2 As, 3 As, and a bunch of Bs.
Well, those are just based on my ratings. I didn't know if we wanted to go through and see what everybody else thought
Yep.
for ratings.
Are we gonna rank our projects?
For the police cruiser one, I'll just add my thoughts on this. The chief had indicated to us that he wasn't looking for any money to be put aside this year for a cruiser.
I did change that. I pushed everything an
Okay.
extra year out.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I did that before I sent it out. I caught that as well.
Okay,
Jim, when I was
all right,
going through
okay.
mine.
All right,
So thank you, though.
all
No,
right.
it didn't, yeah,
I
it didn't
did push
show.
everything out
Perfect.
another
Okay.
year.
all right, so the cruisers, so the police, so that would be like a C?
I still kept, well, it depends how we rate it,
Okay,
but I pushed all expenses FY '26 through.
okay, for the cruisers?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
So
you.
thank
Yeah.
you for catching that, too.
I mean, for next year, for the police, I mean, I mean, I don't have a problem, you know, maybe making, one of the cruisers a B and then the rest C, and then the computers were even further out, maybe that being a D project.
I thought the computers had a time frame
10 years.
2029.
for fiscal year '29?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess instead of trying to go through 28, 38, well, 35 projects and all these numbers, are there any that stand out that don't make sense? We'll trust Dawn and go with her initial.
Well, I mean, you.
But is there anything in here that's like,
So you have
I
some
largely
highlights.
concurred with many of you. I had a couple minor variations. I wonder, could we just go around and, what's everyone's top project? What's everyone's second top project? What's everyone's third project? I think that might be a useful way to do it. Then we get a list, we get a prioritized list. And the 28 projects that we know we're not gonna get to just automatically fall out. I'm not worried at all about the police cruiser. I was gonna suggest exactly what got discussed, but I didn't need to because it already took care of itself. There's no way the police could get cruisers this year, funded in the capital budget. This is actually quite simple, the only number we need to find out right now is how much money are we gonna recommend that the town spend?
mhm,
Because the projects speak for themselves. There's no way we can't do the effluent chlorine alarm project this year. It's gotta be done.
yeah,
It's a non-starter. There's no discussion about it, in my opinion. The same with the copper reduction pump. He has to have that.
Yep.
Those are my top, well, I didn't rank them out. Let me find my numbers here. The hose replacement for the fire department
Yeah,
has to happen.
yeah,
All right, so there's my top three.
that would be my top three,
Those
I think.
were my three
This-
A's.
Do we concur on that?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, right now, we're at, you've got the spreadsheet in front of you?
I do,
Do-
I do.
25.
I did things a little bit differently, but, no, that's okay.
The
So we've got the 110 for the hose,
110 for the hose,
we've got the effluent chlorine alarm at 35,
yep.
Should be 170.
and we've got the
This can go.
copper reduction at 25.
Now, since we're talking about sewer at the moment, the scum pump, okay? That is also a priority.
Yes.
There is an article that is open, that has been open since 2007 for a clarifier. There's approximately $52,000 in it. I would recommend that we take that $52,000 money, after I talked to Ralph, and said that, Ralph said that there's no need for that article to be open anymore, for the clarifier, and move it to the scum pump, and then the scum pump can be brought down in terms of total price.
Okay, so I'm sorry. No, what was the amount for the open
50.
article?
52,000.
Maybe a little less though, right?
No, it's a little bit more, but it's roughly
Oh, okay, I thought
52,000.
Madeline said they had already.
So it's about 33 that we're gonna fund?
Right.
Okay, so,
So you can have an offset of 52 of the 85, and then the balance would be coming from funding.
oops. No, that's not in, that's just an open article.
Open article, yeah.
Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I doing it myself. One second.
So is that all agreed on, that we should put that forth as a recommendation, or are we just discussing it?
Which, the scum pump?
Let's go.
I don't have a problem with that. The scum pump was kind of on my radar
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, mine too.
Mhm.
For potential funding this year, so.
And we just reduced it by 52, so let's just do it then.
I agree.
It's gonna be 33. Other ones on my radar were, the Elgin sweeper and the dry storage building from Highway. I know the sweeper's in very rough condition. I don't know, how everybody feels about.
I had it in my top 10. I didn't have it as number 5.
No, it wasn't, I wasn't going down, I was just
Okay.
going down the list, so,
I would do the dry storage. It's cheap money and it's gonna provide
Big impact.
huge
yes.
benefits.
Yeah.
Now, for the Elgin sweeper, I do think that there's some value to it. However, I think maybe the town could look at a different approach. The $100,000 would only purchase potentially a used unit. A new unit is like $350. And so, the town, for the limited amount of roads that the sweeper does and the amount of time that it does, the town may look to hire a company that can do it. And it may be cheaper than purchasing a complete unit and having to maintain a complete unit. So if the town wants to get its roads swept in the spring and in the fall, you know, that's something that maybe, we could, you know, get some quotes on to see how much it would cost and, you know, factor that into our budget in the future. Or if the town really wants to move towards the direction of owning this piece of equipment, you know, maybe it could look at a more long-term approach to purchasing a new one as opposed to an old one. The old one, a used one, you know, these things are technical, especially if you get a newer model one with all these electrical equipments and different things in there. I've heard horror stories from people that DPW garages have bought and used ones, and they can't even work on them, and they have to contract out to get the repairs done on it, and it's costs just as much as if they were to buy a new one. So those are some things that I think that the board should weigh and look at. Those are the comments that I would have on that. I do value it. I think it's a great service. I think it impacts a lot of you know, neighborhoods in the town where, you know, it's nice to have a clean street, and it's nice to have it properly maintained, and it's good to have it so that when the person operating it doesn't have to take, you know, 3 showers to get clean after they've operated it. So, you know, I understand the value of it. You know, I think that there's room for us to look at some different approaches and models.
I'd be okay with that. I'd like to see what renting, or, you know, contracting a service would be.
So do you want me to push that to 26 and we'll discuss it again next year?
Yeah, let's, yeah.
I concur with everything that's just been said.
Okay.
To be honest too, if there's something that really breaks down and goes kaput, there's one up the road for sale. In Palmer, if you drive right over the line, there's one parked right in the field. It's a 2005 version. It's the truck model. $39,900.
39,000? Huh.
Yeah. Let Jeremy know.
Yeah, I mean, when Jeremy was here, he did state, you know, to rent one would be, what, 20 to 25,000 per.
Per outing.
Oh, I thought, okay, so we did talk about
We
that.
did,
We did
it got
discuss
mentioned
it.
briefly.
But I think that he had talked about renting it and his guys using it,
Hmm.
not contracting
Contracting
an
out.
outside company to
Okay.
just come in, rather than renting it for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
An outside company come in, do it in 2 days.
Hmm.
You know, that might be cheaper too,
Yeah,
like
that
Jim
way
was
there,
talking.
you don't own any of the maintenance on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the insurance costs, or
Yep.
Mhm.
housing it, or any of that.
Right.
So it might be cheaper just to have a company come in and do it in a shorter time period too,
Mhm. Okay.
so. All right, so I'll push that to 26. I was just kind of going down the list. So I s-
We had thrown out the dry storage building, and.
I agree with that. I
Were we
think-
decided on that? Okay, so that one's a yes.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a no-brainer.
So dry storage, then we get to the hose and appliance
We
replacement.
already did that, okay. I don't even know what I'm writing. Hose and appliance replacement, we already decided yes, right?
Yep.
Hydraulic extrication equipment. That was in my top. Between the.
It's in the top 10.
It's in the top 10.
Big ticket item,
Um,
which I wonder, is anyone adding up where we're at right now?
So between those 5, it's 7233.
Say it again?
233.
All right, so there's 233.
So we have 30,000 for the dry. one thing that I would like to do this year is those 3 long-term, high-ticket items from Adam, the engine 2, the structural turnout gear, and the ambulance replacement. I'd like to put some money into special stabilization accounts for those, because those are gonna be multi-year projects. So I was looking at, 50 for the engine 2, 50 for the ambulance, and 40 for the structural turnout gear. I know what anybody's thoughts were on that.
I see what you did with the ambulance, and my thoughts on it were to push it, depending on where we end up for totals, is like we did with the police cruisers, push it out a year.
Let's,
Well, that's already spread for 4 years, and 50,000 was a relatively small amount.
how about this, can we hold off on these and go
Yeah.
through the others first? Okay, copper reduction pump we're gonna do.
So the hydraulic extrication.
That's in my top 10. I had something before that, but if we just want to go down through them sequentially.
What'd you have before that?
The selectmen computer updates.
Oh, I do have that too. The whole 35?
Well, no, I thought we had broken it out to do 24 and then the balance over the following years, over
If-
a following year.
If possible, I'd like to see if we could do 30.
Okay.
Instead-
You know, that's not, the 4,000's not a showstopper. But that was my next highest priority overall.
So for computer, then we do 30 and maybe 5,000?
Well, depends, well, it was 24, 96, and 140.
Yeah, so whether it's 30 and 5, or whether it's 30 and maybe 10.
Yeah,
I mean,
Question is,
these are estimates, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
all right.
so do 30 this year,
Just do 5 for next year.
and then
Just
the
as a
whole
placeholder.
project, 30.
And the reason why I say that is because the, some of these monitors don't come with, you know, webcams, and by a lot of Zoom technology has now been in use in town. You know, departments are gonna need a webcam, and, you know, those are, you know, $50 or so, to throw on a monitor.
So we good with 30 for computer updates?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. What about Mob Repoint Brick?
Um,
The 25,000 was for an assessment, right?
Right.
I really wasn't comfortable funding any of that until we had hard numbers, as far as how much it would actually cost for an assessment and to do some of the building.
Yeah, why don't we put that off till next year?
Okay.
It didn't make my top 10 either, so.
Okay.
At some point, we will have to address
It's
that.
an important project,
Yeah.
but
Okay, so what we have now is we have dry storage, we have hose replacement, chlorine, scum pump, computer, and copper. So what is,
Sorry, I'm still. So you have 6 projects there, Rich?
I think so. 263,000.
Yes.
So out of our 512,
So you're saying free cash for all of those?
yeah, I would say free cash, right?
So, one other thing to keep in mind, is the warrants are looking, if you add up all of the free cash expenditures, for the, annual and special, you're looking at a total of about $148,600 of spending. So, you gotta
Were we
add,
just at 90,000 last week?
yeah, so you gotta add in, $411,600 is where we're at right now.
So I'm sorry, how much is on the annual now?
Uh,
Have I broken up by annual and special?
Yep, so the annual is 141, and the special is 7591.
Okay. Keep taking money away from that.
Sorry, I had to offset the budget. Keep our increase low.
All right, so now we're at-
So you're saying that put us down to what, Jim?
So you've got, so currently you've got $411,600
That's
of
not
spent.
what I'm coming out with. I'm coming with 364. You said 141 on the annual?
141 and 76.
Yeah, so 512 minus 141 minus 76, I have it 364.
So what do we got for spending? 263, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got 148.6.
Oh,
Four-
I'm sorry, total spending. I
Yeah,
was
total
subtracting-
spending.
I was subtracting.
$411,600 is total spending right now. Of free cash.
Of the 512.
Yeah.
I see what you did, okay.
So we'd have 100 left over.
I'm putting this out there. I'm okay with spending from capital stabilization because that is what it's there for.
Mhm.
I'm not saying spend it all, but I don't think that we should deplete our free cash by everything.
So the free cash is going to go down to zero come June 30th anyways. Free cash will not be available July 1. It's good to have free cash throughout the fiscal year, in January, December, February. Some catastrophic event happened, you don't have to borrow or go to a stabilization account to take it out. You can just, call a special and get it. It's nice to have some money, free cash rolled over to the next calculation. But at the same token, come the fall, we're gonna be looking to put money into stabilizations, whether it be capital or general, with free cash at some point, to continue on our financial stewardship. So, the next 3 weeks from town meeting, could be a nail biter, and if you needed to, I don't even think you wouldn't even be able to call a special because you need 14 days to post. So, June 13th is the annual, and so, you would have all your spending pretty much wrapped up on June 13th, and then you wouldn't have access to it anyways until free cash is certified in the fall.
But it's nice to have that to roll over to next
That
year's free
rolls
cash,
into-
because who knows
Yeah.
what we're gonna get next year for free cash, and it's good to have that starting balance in there.
Okay, how about this? The dry storage is a one-time, hose replacement is a one-time, chlorine, scum pump are all one-time. If we did those out of free cash, and then we took the engine, the turnout, and the ambulance, and maybe pulled those initial amounts out of capital stabilization,
So just move it from one stabilization to another, essentially.
I guess. I don't know how that works on the books,
Yeah.
but,
'Cause
because that's really,
We're not spending it yet, we're just reserving.
right,
it.
we're reserving it, right?
So it just moves from one capital stabilization to another capital.
So I don't know if we wanna take the whole, I mean, it would be 140 out.
So here's the other comment that I'll make on the ambulance piece, okay? The ambulance currently, I think it's at 22. And, you know, there's been some discussion, not only with capital planning, but with the FinCom, and to some extent to the selectmen, that, you know, it's trying to operate, it's challenging and trying to operate an ambulance in a small rural community is tough, right? And so, you know, that model may need to be looked at some point. You know, whether or not the model that we currently have is the right approach. We may wanna look at, you know, some type of regionalization or privatization model, and, you know, to try to save some costs.
I would be very careful doing that process, because I've been with fire services and contracted services all at the same time, and you usually lose out on a deal with a contracted service coming in, because they're gonna boatload you up front with, we'll have 2 vehicles in town at all times, ready to respond at a moment's notice, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Then, maybe a quarter of the way into the project, you're gonna start seeing these vehicles leave town to go on their own special little runs, because they're gonna take third service calls. That's what they're there for. They're around to make money, okay? And they will charge for a third service call as opposed to staying in town and collecting nothing. So that's how they work. I'm not saying that you will, well, I don't want to mention any companies, but there are numerous towns in the vicinity right around here that have used certain services that have gotten burnt on the other end of it. And it's a very out there thing. You've gotta be careful when you're looking at an ambulance service and know what you get and make sure you have all your dots and on your I's and your T's crossed.
Mhm.
Because you will get burnt in the end of it. That they're out there to make money,
Yeah,
and that's what their sole intent and purpose is.
I agree, you know, it's very difficult to continue to see budgets climb, right? And we only have a limited amount of resources. So, you know, I don't think it hurts by at least having some homework done on, you know, regionalization or privatization, to see if there's any way, cost shape measures that we could be saving. I think we owe it to the taxpayers to do that. You know, to say that we've done our homework and, you know, this is the best option for the town. And, you know, I think that, you know, that will, you know, need to happen. That discussion needs to happen relatively sooner rather than later, because of the rising costs of everything and the write-offs that we've had.
that's the other problem. right?
Oh,
It's
All I'm saying
expensive
is
to
be
run.
very leery when you
Oh,
enter
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying
Yeah.
have that red flag waving.
Oh, yeah. No, I just think that you know, that the board may wanna think about, you know, having that discussion, instead of just, you know, putting money aside for a new ambulance right now.
That's valid. That's valid.
Yeah, well, so if we took off the ambulance, then we could dedicate the 90 out of capital stabilization.
Let's shift it out.
For
That's
engine
what I just
two,
did, is I just shifted it to the 3 years, for now.
Yeah.
You know, the 400 over the.
And
next-
it's not like we can't, do that next year. And if we did something and something came back and, and if Adam put something together and something came back and it didn't, doesn't make sense and we need to continue to have an ambulance, then obviously we can do it next year. I mean, it's still a 2022. I mean, it's relatively brand new.
yeah.
Right, and this was just planning out to
Right, I mean,
28,
we still have debt on it, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what Don did was shifted that out, eliminated the 50,000 and changed the other 3 years to be 133, 133, and 134. Are we all good with that? I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, I'm not trying to lead this I'm not trying to, I'm just throwing this out there, these recommendations. This has, this is the board, I want the board to, I'm not trying to overshadow you
I
guys.
already made that suggestion earlier, Jim, that
Okay,
we,
all
that we
right, all
push the 50 out,
Okay,
but
all
you're good.
right,
We want the input, we'll be happy to tell you now.
all right. Okay.
And I also like the notion of the 50 and 40, and just to be clear, for engine 2 replacement and structural turnout gear,
Mhm.
that those reserves be made out of, that those reserves be made. Now, I think it's time to have the discussion as to where are we funding these projects from? We doing it all free cash? We using a mix of free cash and current available stabilization funds?
Well, yeah, that's what we had said.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I'm,
everything, well, we still have to determine hydraulic extrication, but everything else except the engine 2 and turnout was gonna come out of free cash.
okay,
Engine 2 and turnout come out of capital stabilization. And then what are we doing with extrication equipment?
I had that broken up over 2 years.
We could do that.
I don't wanna open a special stabilization for 2 years. That's I mean, I would just rather just push it out to next year.
Okay.
I mean, that's,
it
we
was,
have the reserves in capital stabilization already, and that's why I say that.
Mm-hmm.
We have enough money in capital stabilization to do it next year.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to reserve another 32.5 in the special stabilization for that. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, a special stabilization should be something that's long-term, not a year or two.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay, so we take it off of 25.
Put it into 26, yeah.
I put it into 26.
What was it again now?
65
The
grand.
65.
65, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like the computer equipment, we're just going to fund 30,000 from free cash, and the other 5 is just gonna sit out there.
Right.
We're not gonna spend
We may not even need it, the other 5.
Right.
I mean, the other 5 may be, as we come around next year, this time, I may say the project, finished up and it was, $28,000. And so now, we were gonna have a little bit of some play there. And some of these other projects may come in a little bit less, or hopefully not more.
So what I'm getting now is 90 from capital stabilization, 263 from free cash.
Now, knowing that capital stabilization is gonna require a 2/3 vote. Oh, no, actually, yes, it will. Yes, it will. Regular, special stabilization, I think, is now a majority vote. They just changed it.
yeah, I know the general is 2/3, I don't know about
Yeah.
the
So
special
that
reserves.
will be free cash at, hold on,
About 250.
240, well, that's before the annual and special. That's before Jim's, or the expenses from the warrant already. Minus
Oh, yeah, so we might
141.
have to put that in
But I can't capture that in here.
the, yeah, I know, I might have to,
So how,
101,000.
So how much money do you have for, so how much money is this proposing to be spent?
From
Two
what?
63 from free cash.
Yep.
263?
From free cash, 52,000 from the open article,
Yeah,
Hmm.
52 from
and
open order.
90,000 from capital stabilization
Okay.
to special stabilization.
Okay.
So that's
all
not
right.
actual spending.
Okay. One thing that I'm going to, you know, depending on where we are with free cash next year, we should look at and make it a goal, if we're taking 90 out, we're gonna put 90 back. At least,
And when did we do that, at the special?
the fall,
The fall special.
yeah.
Okay.
We usually, I usually like to have that one of the first articles.
Yeah,
From free cash, you put into stabilization, you put into capital stabilization, right
Okay.
off the bat, so that we can fund these projects and
Mhm.
have a good situation in stabilization.
because you're gonna take it out now, and then we should at least, at minimal, put it back, you know, if we can put back more, then we can put back more, but, you know, at minimum, you should put back what you've taken out.
Mhm.
That's the hopes. So that's a total spending of, well, it's 405,000 of projects that we're funding. Really only spending
353.
315. Because we're not spending that 90,000, that's being reserved for future spending.
Yeah, right, okay.
So
Yeah.
it's really the free cash and the open article.
The
That's
148,600,
Mhm.
what's the open article?
For the.
The 52,
sewer, the
oh, 52,000.
So the 263
Yeah, yeah,
plus the
okay.
52 is actual spending on capital projects. The 90,000 is
315.
reserved for future.
Yeah,
So you're,
spending.
I think we got something here. Just to take you guys away on another topic here, just for a brief moment. It has some relationship to this. So the $148,600, okay, what does that entail, okay? So that entails $25,000 to do a compensation, a wage classification compensation study. There's a possibility that I could get a grant for that, to cover that. So there's a possibility that, you know, that we won't have to use free cash, but I won't know that until after the annual. So we have to plan like I'm not getting the grant, because the study has to get done. And then we're gonna put $25,000 into OPEB. We're gonna fund OPEB, as we did last year to this year. We've got $25,000 we're taking out of a potential line item of the selectmen's budget. We're funding the town levy again for $25,000, but we're using free cash to fund it, okay? So it's not gonna be, we're not there yet in terms of a budget to sustain an ongoing expense yet. We're just not there yet, in terms of percentage-wise for increasing over year after year budget. We've got $25,000 is gonna be for ongoing maintenance and repairs to town buildings. That's gonna be taken out of free cash. We've got $11,000 from free cash to be taken out of the senior center bulkhead and rear door replacement project. We've got $16,000 to purchase 4 sets of turnout gear, helmets, boots for new members. And then the fire department, and then you've got $14,000 to upgrade the exhaust system for all the apparatus at the station, $14,000. So all of that would equate to a 148,600 of spending.
okay.
There's also this article for snow and ice deficit.
Yeah, so that's the special. So, on the special, we have, snow and ice, still floating around $5,100. And $2,500, to cover, ambulance billing line, for Adam, also out of free cash, so, that's $7,600 right there, so that total is 148,600.
All right, so are we okay with this scheme?
I think I'm comfortable with the projects, and funding of the projects. And that leaves us with a decent balance of free cash to move forward with in fiscal '25. It leaves us with a healthy balance in capital stabilization, and we
Mhm.
have reserved for 2 of the 3 big projects.
Yep. Okay, so, I think we should do a motion then. Are we ready to do a motion?
Now, will these projects that we're funding, will they turn to an A priority on our scale now?
No,
No,
that's still.
just leave them?
No, because that's,
Okay, all right.
yeah, because,
I just
Alright.
have the funding in FY '25.
Okay, all right.
yeah.
So should we make a motion altogether comprehensive?
Yeah, I would, so do 2 motions, one for free cash and one for capital stabilization.
Okay,
Give the project and the amount.
okay. So I'll make a motion that we recommend funding through free cash the highway dry storage building for $30,000, the fire hose and appliance replacement for $110,000, the wastewater treatment plant effluent chlorine alarm for $35,000, wastewater treatment plant scum pump replacement, $33,000 remaining balance, selectmen computer updates of $30,000, and wastewater treatment plant copper reduction pump for $25,000, for a total free cash recommendation of $263,000.
All right. Motion's made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, hold on one second, I just, wanna double check priorities on any other. Okay, hydraulic got pushed out. And I'm not opposed to anything that's been mentioned, I just was considering whether we should include anything else. Because we pushed a couple of things into fiscal year '26. And what I'm thinking is, did we so, to be conservative this year, are we pushing too much forward that we're just gonna be in a bind next year?
I don't think so, and the reason why I say that is because we're already in a bind. I mean, capital planning hasn't been in operation for about
Right.
5 or 6 years, so we're playing catch-up as it is.
And we can always, I don't know how the committee feels, but we can always meet during the year and come fall special. We may be able to relook at some of these projects.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to meet, in September or something.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not opposed to it, I just, and then we're also gonna do another 90,000 second to this motion,
Mhm.
which would put us at a 353 total, which is in line with what was being suggested, that somewhere in that 300. Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, all in favor?
Don Swistek, aye.
Ray Capaco, aye.
And to go,
Richi Hacker, aye. Motion carries.
I think it was very good. I think our first and about of this, I thought the committee did very well. I thought everybody, put a lot of effort into it. I know Dawn put a lot of effort into putting this chart together, which was very invaluable. So thank you, Dawn, for doing that. It's a tough situation to be in, and you're picking, this department, that department. It's tough. It's not easy. And some of the discussions that I've had here are difficult discussions. So I think the committee did a really good job with putting something together in a relatively quick amount of time.
We still got one more motion too,
Yeah,
so go ahead with that one.
I'd like to make a motion that we fund through capital stabilization account, the fire engine number 2 replacement, 50,000 to move it to a special stabilization account, and fire structural turnout gear for 40,000 to move to a separate special stabilization account for total spending and capital stabilization of $90,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Don Swistek, aye.
Ray Capaco, aye.
and to go,
Richi Hacker, aye.
Do we want to make a motion for the, I don't know if we need to, but for the 52,000 to use the other article to fully fund?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Just- It tidies up the,
Okay, so I'll make a motion to,
Put an article together, yeah.
To support an article to, use the open article from wastewater treatment plant to fund the current, wastewater treatment plant scum pump replacement for 52,000.
I'll second that.
any discussion? All in favor?
Don Swistek, aye.
Ray Capaco, aye.
and to go,
Richi Hacker, aye. Okay,
So do you want,
Can you give me a revised,
absolutely,
thanks.
absolutely.
and then you're
I can
gonna
send it revised to everybody.
turn these into motion,
Articles,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
Do you want the committee to put forth the articles, or, because,
I'll just put, I mean, if the committee wants to put a recommendation, like the FinCom,
right,
Yeah, why don't we do something like that?
Yeah.
It comes from the, like, fire or highway,
exactly,
because it is their spending, but then we'll recommend it or not.
okay.
But in this case, we will.
So
Yeah.
do you want us to put forth the articles, or do you want?
No, I'll add them, I'll
Okay.
add them on, yeah.
Okay, all right.
But
So
if you can
I'll-
give me the updated one of this,
I can send-
that'd be
send that
perfect.
Possibly right now.
Yeah, no, tomorrow's fine.
I don't wanna throw a wrench in the works here. My understanding is that we produce a report that gets submitted to the select board and the finance committee.
So, yeah,
Or
so.
just for the
This-
annual report.
Okay.
This will be the, essentially the report, your,
Okay.
your plan, is your report. And, you can present it at the FinCom meeting, or I can, or, it doesn't matter, whatever you wanna do.
Okay,
The committees sometimes had some verbiage as far as the projects that they were supporting in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what you're looking, so.
I'm just making sure we're not violating the bylaw, that's all.
No, I don't.
Yeah, just put something together. All we would need is a letter, I suppose. We
It
can
would be
send
just like a
letter.
cover letter, but this is the main thing. This is the coming up with the plan.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can say, this is our plan for FY '25 and over the next 5 years.
So do the projects get recommended by the capital committee, the finance committee, or the select board? Combination of those?
No, we're
Entities.
recommending them.
Okay.
This is what we,
So you
this is our
guys, you
work.
guys recommend them. Now, I will say that there's potentially, an article from Parks, and, well, 2 articles from Parks that may not, it sounded to me like it didn't get recommended this year by the board, but may be allowed to move forward onto the warrant, because this is the selectmen's warrant. So, that may still happen. That's one of the things there. But these articles from will be placed on the, as long as they're okay with the selectmen, I don't see why they wouldn't be, would be placed on the warrant and will be, your verbiage, capital improvement commit, or capital planning committee recommends on them.
Yep,
And then the finance committee, if they wanna chime in, that they certainly can as well.
yeah. All right, I've got to scoot too. I've got an appointment at Sturbridge I need to go to. So is there,
So capital,
Anything else?
capital planning, I think is good until, hopefully, maybe we can meet over the summer briefly,
Mhm.
just to regroup, maybe in late August,
that's a
or,
good idea.
and then get back at it in the fall,
Okay.
See what happens at town meeting.
see what happens at town meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Potential wrenches in the works.
yeah.
all right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Dan Toro.
Rick Begley.
Don Switzer, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye.
Okay, what time you calling this? 3:22?
3:22.